Hi, welcome to another Interruption. Before this weekend, I wanted to get this out to you, some apologetics about Easter. Apologetics, of course, being the intellectual defense of the truth of Christianity. And Easter is the time of year where Christians celebrate the resurrection of Jesus Christ, but there are three main issues that cause a lot of people to doubt the crucifixion and resurrection. And the first is, did he really die? Well, written testimony from all four Gospels, the Apostle Paul, and a lot of non-Christian historians and writers wrote about this. So it's well documented, not just in Christianity, but all over the world. A lot of people complain that the records were documented way too many years later, and that it just doesn't count because they weren't Christians and they just heard about it, so they wrote it down. But Josephus, he was a Jewish historian. He wrote about it in AD 90. Now, Christ was crucified about 33 AD, so we're talking just basically 60 years, 63 years, or 57 years, not quite 60. And then Tacitus, a Roman historian, wrote in AD 115. That's barely 80 years. The Jewish Talmud, AD 70. That's only 40 years. Now, in contrast to all those writings, Alexander the Great's first biography was written 400 years after his death, and nobody questioned that. This is all about Christ. Remember, people just, whatever they can do to make it sound like it's not true. But anyway, that was a side note. The American Medical Association actually wrote on the flogging and crucifixion of Christ. The writing was very graphic, and it said it would have been hard to survive all the flogging alone. The writing went on to say being nailed to a cross would have certainly finished him. Modern medical science is not at odds with the fact that he died on a cross. Roman soldiers were experts at killing. If they didn't kill him, they would have been killed. That was their job. They had to do that. Their lives depended on it. Now, the spear that pierced his side, that confirmed his death. Now, the second argument for unbelief is the tomb was not empty. When Christ came back to the disciples after being resurrected, the first place they preached was Jerusalem. This caused a lot of upheaval. Now, the Jewish leaders, they could have stopped this at any time. All they had to do was go and get the body from the tomb, right? Say, oh, here he is, they're lying. It wasn't there. The enemies of Christianity never denied it was not there. They accused the disciples of stealing it. The body was not there. If you're going to invent an empty tomb fabrication, no man would have used women to be the first to discover it. The Jewish Talmud said testimony from women was not valid. Now, the third reason for people not believing that he was raised from the dead is recorded that he appeared to his disciples, Cephas, and over 500 who witnessed his death. He appeared to his brother James, who was not a believer, but became a very devout Christian after the resurrection. Nothing but Christ being resurrected could explain the boldness that came over his disciples. They were hiding in an upper room, fearing for their lives when Christ appeared to them. All but John would be martyred by hanging, beheaded, stoning, etc. If they had not witnessed Christ's return firsthand, why would they watch and endure such torture? Let me ask you a question. Would you be tortured for a lie? The writings of Jesus took place approximately 25 to 30 years after his resurrection. Many of the people that witnessed his life, death, and resurrection would still be alive. So if the stories that they were telling were not true, they would have been laughed at, and Christianity would have died out. But it didn't. It grew. And even though man has tried to put his spin, his thoughts, views, or comments on it, the facts remain. Now that you have facts and truth about Christ and his death, burial, and resurrection, what are you going to do with it? Hopefully that conversation will come up and you'll be able to share your faith with another during this Easter holiday. Till next time.